Well, making a video, it is extraordinarily difficult. I mean, I have the same damn excuses all the time. But nonetheless, here I am. I'm in Terre, Haute, Indiana. And I've been on the road for a few weeks now, and I'm starting to get sick of, the fast food game. Of every place I hate, I'm not even going to use the name of the place. I hate the Golden Arches, but I probably eat there more than anything else because it's everywhere, at every gas station. But I've decided that I'm going to start to stop that today. So I went to the store and I bought a one-piece 7-utensil tool that has spoons, knives, and forks that are all fold-upable, and they match up like this. That was step one. Step two was I'm not going to get paper plates and start destroying the environment, so I got a plastic bowl. Step three was get a bag of already washed carrots, already washed lettuce. Well, it's actually spring mix. I like that a lot better. And an orange, because I like tomatoes, but there's something special about having fruit in my salad. So what I've decided to do is make my own foods on the road. It's pretty simple. You take a little bit of this, put it in the bowl. You take a little bit of the shredded carrots, you put it in a bowl, and then you cut up the orange and you put the orange inside of it, and all of a sudden you have a pretty fantastic salad at the cost of, it was like $5. Well, this here was probably like $7 in itself. Overall, I spent today about maybe $15, but the bowl, the knives, the fork, the whole, multi-utensil thing, that's gonna last me forever. Well, realistically not forever. It's not a diamond, and even if it was, I know myself well enough to know I'd just lose it. So, what else is going on? It's been tough. It's difficult every day. Like today last night I had a show at Terre, I think it's Indiana State University. And I have another show today at 3:30, which is fantastic because that means I can stay at the same hotel for more than 12 hours, which maybe has happened once before. It gets wild. What's weird is when we were on our way over here to Terre Haute, typically, not all the time, it depends on how lazy I am, I will research, the city of the school that I'm going to in case there's anything fun happening or something to poke fun of. And I found out that the day before we arrived, over 200 people were arrested in Indiana, Terre Haute, which it's not that big of a place. I would say that it's a big percentage of people were arrested at some sort of what it was like a truck party festival. The picture in the newspaper was just tractors, but it was over 200 people with alcohol-related incidences, whether it was drinking and driving, open consumption, underage drinking, blah 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 blah. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And our show last night had very few people in it. I wasn't doing the Mission Improbable show. I was doing the show that's called Shot of Reality, which is an alcohol awareness show, first off. It's pretty funny. Most of the time, the kids that go in there have to go into it because it's like, part of the school program of like, oh, you're coming to college, you shouldn't drink. Realistically, there's a chance you might run into alcohol some point in time in your college career. And we prepare people with some tips to help them if they decide to drink. They're not supposed to, but if they do. But nonetheless, I believe because of the 200 people that were arrested the night before, the crowd was pretty much empty, which that's a joke. It's not really because of the night before. It's because the school doesn't require the students to go, and if they're not required to go, they really don't. They don't really want to go, which it's their loss. The show is actually really funny if you sit down. There's definitely some parts that get dark, but for the most part, the entire show is pretty entertaining. We are funny guys that happen to have some educational stuff. Let me step aside for a second. Now, I have never done this before, but I got microwavable squash. I'm thinking about putting it on the salad. I don't know exactly how to eat it. I don't know what possessed me to buy it. In my entire life, I've never bought squash. But I guess because of the fact that I have been eating trash so much, I saw squash and I was like, oh, my body needs that. And I looked at it, and you know what's in there is 180% of my vitamin A. Don't ask me what vitamin A is for. I'm going to put it in my salad. I think that'll be fine. Oh, it's hot, hot, hot. Oh, yeah, it's hot, hot, hot. Oh, yeah. That's stupid. The Shadow Reality show is funnier than that. Let's see. I wonder if this turned out good. Microwavable squash. When I was a kid, I didn't like squash. My mom would make a specific kind of squash that I believe was called spaghetti squash. And she would pitch it to us like this. She'd be like, oh, it's just like spaghetti. But it's healthy. It's not like spaghetti. It's like, it's mouth mush. It's mouth mush for you. Why I got this, I don't know. It's not bad. I probably will never get it again. Actually, no, it's pretty good. You know what it needs? And I think this is the traditional way of cooking it. Is a little bit of butter, maybe a little bit of cinnamon, and a little bit of brown sugar. Oh, this is good. What is going on? Oh, my phone's making noises like somebody's trying to get a hold of me. There's got to be other interesting things. Oh, I was driving through Iowa the other day, and it was early in the morning. It was really foggy. So foggy you could barely see 10 feet in front of the car. You had to follow the lines on the road. I mean, you always have to follow the lines, but I'm saying that was your only clue of where the road in front of you was going. And in the middle of nowhere, all of a sudden I look to the side of me, and there's a Pepsi machine in the fog. And it was just bizarre. There's one big like electric pole and a Pepsi machine. There's a sidewalk about maybe 30 feet away from it, but the sidewalk doesn't even go to it. It's in the middle of like some dirt. And you don't see any buildings for, I don't know, maybe 10 miles. It looked pretty creepy. Yeah, butternut squash goes well with salad. I don't know what possessed me to do that, but I'm glad I chose to. So that was pretty wild. There's got to be some other good stuff from the trip. I made a mistake during one of them. It wasn't the one that was here with nobody there. It was a big audience. I mean, the Shadow Reality show has a lot of comedy in it, but it's written. And we have some stats in there that we want to make sure that we get out. And they're written stats. And one of the parts was like, 2/3 of people will be affected by a drunk driving accident or know somebody that's been affected by a drunk driving accident at some point in time in their life. I had gotten the kids in the audience to raise their hands, and it was nearly everybody in the audience. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned. I was like, it was my first show that I did of it at the colleges, and I was like, wow. And this was off script. This is James improv. I was like, wow, 2/3 of you will be affected by it, but if you look around, I'd say it's nearly half. And I didn't even know what I said wrong. The audience started laughing. I kept going. I thought that there was like something like, oh, somebody passed a note and it was a good note. I had no idea. After the show was over, I was like, Matt, what was it that all of a sudden everybody started laughing? He's like, you're terrible math. He's like, 2/3 is more than half. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. But I think that they probably will remember that fact, because they did. Like after I said that, they looked around. You couldn't deny it. There was so many people with their hands up in the audience, and it stunned me because I thought 2/3. Like I figured 2/3 was kind of like not. I didn't want to say exaggerating, but I felt like that was the most that you'll get in a crowd. And in this crowd, it was in Wisconsin somewhere. It had, I don't know, 2/3. I would say maybe 80%, 85%. It was a lot of people in the audience had their hands up. There's also another mistake. I'm almost afraid to say it because it's inappropriate, and I misspoke in a way that like I'm part of the show is really dark about some dark matter. And I'm not talking science dark matter. I'm talking about like sensitive issues that I don't think I personally don't believe should be joked about, which is why I don't really want to bring it up here. Why am I talking about it now if I don't want to talk about it? Sorry. That is totally a conversation faux pas, bringing something up that you don't want to talk about. But I did it. What are you gonna do? Last night, I don't know what happened. Oh no, I do know what happened, I think. Best guess was, I was washing my face at the hotel, and we're at a Holiday Inn Express, and I used the bar soap that they had. It seemed like fair. It wasn't like a nasty bar soap. It was all repackaged, blah, blah, blah. Washed my face, but some of the soap got into my eye, and it burned like hell. Like more than it usually would if you get soap in your eye, or maybe I just got it in my eye bad. I tried to rinse it out, but honestly, I didn't rinse it out that well. I just was like, I'm tired. I gave it a rinse, tried to get my eye washed out, and it burned a little, but I still went to sleep. I woke up this morning, and there's just a little bit of like puffiness underneath my eye. And I'm worried that it's going to get infected because I don't have a doctor on the road. So what I did is I picked up this eye wash stuff. I'm hoping it works. You just pour it in, and you open your eye, and you look around. And it's supposed to wash out your eye duct glands. And then I also got some Visine, like eye moisturizer. Nice. For me, it's a pretty big deal because I'm not afraid of anything. I am, as you know, fearless. Except for snakes, spiders, tornadoes, earthquakes. I'm fearless. But one thing I am afraid of is touching my eyeball. I'm so glad that I don't have to have contacts. Maybe you get used to it. But when I put eye drops in, I'm like dodging. I have better dodge skills when I'm trying to put eye drops in my eyes than I have when I'm playing a first-person shooter. And so the nice thing is like I have the Visine and I could barely get it into my eye. I was like trying to hit it and I keep dodging right at the right time. And but the other eye wash thing has this thing where you pour it into an eye cup. You put the eye cup like against your eyeball, then you go like this and you look around. It was scary, yeah, sure. I had major anxiety during it, but the nice thing about that cup is you can't dodge it. I was going like this. I was trying to get away, but luckily I overpowered myself. Glad I didn't just jab myself in the eye, because that is the sensitive eye. Wouldn't that be funny? Making a YouTube video showing how dangerous it is. Boom! And you know damn well I haven't washed my fingers since I started making butternut squash and stuff. I'd be in big trouble. I can't afford to have a problem with my eyeball on this trip. I do get to go back to the Chicagoland area for a couple days. I might even get to play some video games tomorrow. Dying to. But then on the second, it's either the second or the third, I go to Madison, Wisconsin, and I have 3 shows in Madison, Wisconsin at 9, 11, and 1 a.m. And each of the shows, I mean, that's tough. Doing 3 shows in the nights is tough. I've done it before. I can do it. It's cool. But the difference between this 3 performances in a show is afterwards, I have to drive, and I will be gone for the next consecutive 30 days doing shows in different states, almost in doing shows every day for 30 days. I won't get to go home to Chicago for that long. I think it's like October 2nd that I'll get to go home. I have a show in Missouri on one day. I think it's the 23rd. And then I have to drive to Kansas to take an airplane to Virginia. Oh, no, not to Virginia. to New Hampshire to do a show. Then we fly back to Kansas, get in the car, and do a show in Kansas. Then we keep driving. We end up in Wyoming after that, which I've never been to Wyoming. Pretty excited. There's a couple of states, I've done shows in a couple of states that I had never done shows in, and visited one state I had never seen. I had never been to South Dakota. It was awesome. I like South Dakota. The drive there was pretty neat. Have you ever heard of a show called Radio Lab? It's a podcast. I'm addicted to it. I totally suggest listening to it. Go search Radio Lab, go to whatever webpage, it's a whole bunch of podcasts. Each podcast is on a completely different subject, but they go in great detail to it. So, I'm sure you'll find something that you like. Like, I've listened to one on, like, where the WWF started and how it turned out to become WWE. I've listened to explanations on colors of, like the science of colors. Believe it or not, 1 out of every 10 women can see a color that no one else can, but most of them don't know it because they don't know they can see a color somebody else can't. Mind blown. One of the cool episodes that I listened to was about football, and I don't want to be a hater, but I don't enjoy football. Like I'll watch the Bears, and when people are getting excited, I like to have fun with people, so I'll watch a game and then I get excited. But I would never in a million years like do some research on football. But I found out that football has a really unique story. It was created, like obviously rugby was kind of the way it used to be, but football, the way it was in our country, started off after the Civil War, when the boys that were growing up had no way to show that they were like, physically like tough guys. Because the war was over and they were going to colleges, and the smart ones were going up to these like Ivy League type schools. And what they would do is they developed this game that was football, and instead of going for 10 yards, they would have 5 yards to get a first down. But what they would do is they would all line up, and these yards were supposed to be going north and south for like the Civil War of like going against each other. And they were trying to get this oblong, like it looked like a rugby football. To the other sides of the field. But they would just all get up next to each other, and they would physically just keep trying to push, like tug of war, but instead it was like push of war. And you push each other back and forth. And that was just simply the way that football was played. So, I don't remember the dates anymore, but it was like a long time ago. It was when the Indians were being, there's basically genocide. We were killing them. Sorry, hate to spoil it. There's some dark history behind us. But there was one guy, and I think his last name was Pratt, decided that he wanted to help Indians because there was basically genocide. So they were, I think, stealing the babies, basically. Like, I don't want to say kidnapping, but they were taking these babies and they were raising them. And they were sending them to school, and he was trying to educate them so that people didn't think these Indians were savages. And what they were finding was after the Indians were taken out of their like outdoor homes and being put inside, and they're changing their meals so much that they were getting sick, and like over 200 of them died when they first started this program. And the guy didn't know what to do, and he was thinking that maybe it had to do with this like not being outdoor and being physical enough. And he was an educated man who had played this football game. So he decided to share football with them. And they loved this sport. But they were like really thin. They were really not that healthy. And after a while, there was a couple of them that had broken bones and they were getting hurt. And the guy was like, no more football. I'm trying to prove to people that you aren't savages. I want you to be educated, this and that. So they took the football away. And then a gathering of Indian students were like objected, and they went to his office and they had a big like presentation, if you will. I mean, there's no PowerPoints, obviously. This is well before that. But they were like, we want to do football, and here's all the reasons. And those reasons were pretty good, I guess, because the guy was like, okay, if you guys really want to do this, you can. But I don't want you guys to be as rough as you were, and I don't want you guys to be. And if you want to play football, you have to get good at it. Get good, noob, is what he said. And you have to be able to beat the best team in whatever football league it was. So they agreed, and they practiced. And one day it was in New York, and this is a long story, but it's a good story. There was this football match between them, and I think it was Harvard, could be Yale, I don't know. Whatever it was one of the big name schools. And this school had never been beaten before. There wasn't that many football games, but it was kind of a rare thing that people were doing. It wasn't that popular. But on top of that, this group had never been beaten by anybody. So when the Indians come out to the field, the original football team comes out, there's cheers and everybody's excited. The Indian football team comes out, and in the news report, there's somebody that yells from the stands, like, "Those guys look just like our boys." Like they had never seen it. All they had seen from the Indians were these like savages with in like plays and stuff that represented it, and they all looked like the stereotypical animated version of an Indian, not like regular people. So this was the first time a lot of them had ever witnessed in person Indians. So then the match begins. They cannot. These football players from the college are so much bigger than these Indians. There's just no way they can overpower them this pushing match. So what ended up happening is the Indians would take the ball, and instead of pushing like everybody had always done, and it was the status quo, they would take the ball and they would run around to the side and get around the side. And they ended up nearly tying the game. No, well, here's the thing. They ended up tying the game at the last minute, which would have probably put it into overtime. But the referee was like, "That doesn't count, blah, blah, whatever reason." I don't remember what the reason was. But the crowd at the place booed the referee for doing it and gave a lot of applause to the Indians, which is very strange because those people weren't going in there to be Indian fans. They were going in there having had never seen Indians before. So anyways, that was the first one, and because they were so close and it felt like they got cheated out of it, the guy was like, "Well, you didn't beat him, but we're going to still do football." And they kept playing against these teams. But as time went on, what would happen was, I might have to tell this story later. Room service, but I don't need it right now. I'm too busy telling this story to have anybody help me clean up. This squash, I'm getting the more I eat of it, the more I like. So over time, obviously these are educated college students. They're not idiots. They are going to learn and adapt. So what they found is they would look for the guy that had the football running around to the edge, and they would push him out of bounds and whatnots. So they would look for the guy with the ball. So the Indians did something, and there's no rules. This game is not played all over the place. The rules are evolving as you go. And what they decide to do, let me put some more carrots in here. This doesn't sound like it's really cheating, but I, at the same time, think it's really clever, and I guess it kind of goes along with the Indian culture of camouflage. But the guy tells them to put the football underneath their sweater so that the football players can't see who has the ball, and then they start winning games like that. But so then what happens is the smart, I shouldn't use the word smart, the college kids come up with the idea of, at the time the footballs were a maroon color, so they changed their jerseys to all be the same color as the football. And then they went on to paint pictures of footballs on both sides so that it looked like everybody had a football, so you would see the football there. And they just kept going like this and like this. But people were getting hurt and people were getting injured. So, wow, this is a long story. So, they decided to make some rules where you could throw the ball forward so that people would get past that scrimmage line where people were hitting each other face first. So we're trying to avoid broken bones and getting hurt. So they made this happen. But back when this rule came out, if you threw the ball forward and you didn't complete the pass, you automatically got a 15-yard penalty. So when that rule came into effect, it was to try to make less injuries, but no one was doing it because the ball was like just, it was not the right shape of ball, and they'd be throwing it and it wasn't going anywhere. Nobody's catching it. You'd lose games from these things. So nobody was doing it. But the Indian kids could not quite keep up with this because as each person would adapt, they'd learn the moves more. And one day this guy, I believe it was no longer Pratt that was coaching, that was somebody else. I was trying to figure out how to take advantage of this. So he spent a weekend with the football trying to figure out, like, what is it that we can do with this football now? And he found that if you spiral it, the air creates a lift and it can go further. So he decided that what he would do is, while people were getting pushed out of bounds on the side so that they'd be down, after the hike of the ball, he told his players, like, when you get pushed out of bounds, continue running out of bounds, and then come back in, and they will throw you the ball. So that was the first time people were completing these passes. And the audience that saw that game, I guess, gasped because, like, when it was up in the air, it was just hanging there, and they'd never seen a football spiral and go like that. And that was the beginning of balls being thrown like that in football. And also as they found that there was these new things, like the strategies would develop more and more, because obviously then you start seeing that somebody's completing a pass every time, then you have to watch the person that is running behind you. And it was something they weren't prepared for. And that's where we get football there's still many more, I think, iterations. I'm not expert on that. I just happened to listen to this one Radiolab episode, which I thought was absolutely stunning. And of all the subjects, one I'm least interested in. So go check out Radiolab, listen to any one of them. I guarantee you'll enjoy it. But I think the best bet would go and pick your favorite subject, because they have things like buttons, and you'll learn things about buttons. Oh, that's a cool episode. But for today, that's all. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you guys have a great day. Maybe I'm gonna see if I can't end this video with a picture of all the colleges that I'm gonna be at, in case you guys can be there, because it would be awesome if one of you guys showed up. Talk to you later.